Well, you got the raise, or maybe it was a solid bonus, but either way, some extra money just landed in your lap, and now you're staring at it wondering, where does this actually go? What do I do with it? If you already have the basics covered, like an emergency fund, credit card debt, 401k, you are ahead of most people. But if you're still working on these things, those should probably be your first three checkpoints on where that money should go. Cash, credit cards, and retirement plan match. But what comes next? This is where high earners have a choice to make. A lot of times I see them just throw everything into a brokerage account without thinking about it, or freezing up completely and keeping it in cash because they're not sure what the right move is. I'm Jeff McDermott, a certified financial planner with Create Wealth Financial Planning, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact checkpoints a high earner should hit when they've got extra money to deploy. Think of it as an advanced version of the savings order of operations. Skip the beginner stuff and go straight to the moves that actually move the needle at your income level. Now, before we begin, again, confirm your foundation is solid, okay? A quick gut check. Basics covered means different things to different people. Your emergency fund should hold about 3 to 6 months of essential expenses at a minimum. If your income's variable, like equity compensation or a very commission-heavy job, consider bumping that up to maybe 9 to 12 months. High earners in executive positions can find job searches to be fairly long to find a comparable role, so plan accordingly. Also, high interest debt should be gone. Credit cards, high-rate auto loans. Think double-digit rates and rates that are higher than what you might expect your investment returns to be. If any of that stuff's still hanging around, that gets handled before anything else on the list. A guaranteed 20% return by paying off a credit card beats anything we can do in the market every time. And your 401k should at least be getting that full employer match. Maybe not necessarily maxing it out yet. We'll get to that. That's going to depend on some other items, but don't miss the free money from the match. Now, if you've got all three of those boxes checked, we're ready to move on. Let's see what's next. First checkpoint, max out your healthcare savings account or your HSA. You might be thinking the HSA, the health account thing with the high deductible plan, that's the one I'm talking about. If you're on a high deductible health plan, and that's not right for everybody, but if it works for you, the HSA might be the single most tax efficient account in the entire tax code. Not talking about the 401k, not the Roth IRA, but the HSA. Now for 2026, the individual limit is $4,400 for individual coverage and $8,750 for a family, and an extra $1,000 catch up if you're 55 or older. Here's the thing, contributions go in pre-tax, the money grows in there tax deferred, and withdrawals for qualified medical expenses come out tax-free. That's a triple tax advantage that doesn't exist anywhere else in any other accounts. Now, a feature you might miss, you can also invest the funds in the market like a supplemental retirement fund. And if you want to be a next level HSA user, you can actually save your medical receipts and reimburse yourself years later. That turns your HSA into a stealth retirement account with a very long runway. After 65, you can pull money out for any reason and just pay ordinary income tax, just like a traditional 401k. So at worst, it's like a 401k late in life, and at best, it's tax-free health insurance fund. If a high deductible health plan makes sense for you and your family, you can max that HSA out every year if possible. At checkpoint 2, fully max out your 401k. If you've already grabbed the employer match, it's time to fill the rest of that bucket. The employee contribution limit for 2026 is $24,500, and if you're 50 or older, add another $8,000, even some other new catch-up provisions there. It's a big chunk of tax-deferred growth, and at a high income level, every dollar going in is sheltered money that would otherwise be getting taxed at your top marginal rate. If your plan offers a Roth 401k option, it's worth the conversation about which decision makes sense for your tax situation. The right answer is going to be different for different savers, and ultimately just depends on where you think your personal tax rates are headed. So max it out and move on to the next checkpoint. Checkpoint 3 is that backdoor Roth IRA. At a certain income level, you can't contribute directly to a Roth IRA. For 2026, that phase out starts at about $153,000 for single filers and about $242,000 for married couples filing jointly. High earners can get locked out, but there's a workaround that's built into the tax code. We call it the backdoor Roth IRA. What you do is make a non-deductible contribution to a traditional IRA and then convert it to a Roth IRA. The 2026 limit's $7,500 or $8,600 if you're 50 or older, and the growth in future withdrawals are tax-free. Same Roth benefit, just a different way into it. Now, there's some rules here, though, and I strongly suggest coordinating with your financial planner and your tax professional. One thing to know, if you have pre-existing IRA money sitting around, there's this pro rata rule the IRS has that can really complicate the conversion. And there's also important tax reporting that accompanies this. Your financial planner can walk you through some of the rules, and your accountant can help make sure it gets reported properly. Don't mess this one up. Let me know if you'd like to see a video dedicated specifically to the backdoor Roth. At checkpoint 4, is the mega backdoor Roth. The backdoor Roth's bigger and louder cousin. A lot of people have never even heard of this. If your employer's 401k plan allows for what are called after-tax contributions, those are different from Roth. And if it allows for in-service withdrawals or in-plan Roth conversions, you can contribute significantly more to the Roth account beyond the standard limits. Not all retirement plans allow this, but for a lot of forward-thinking companies, they've started to include the options. So in 2026, the total 401k plan limit, including employer match, is about $72,000. Once you've matched your $24,500 employee contribution and received that employer match, the gap between that amount and the $72,000 could potentially be filled with those after-tax contributions, which you can then potentially convert to Roth. For a high earner who wants to push more money into tax-free growth, this is a serious tool. But again, it's not available in every plan. You've got to check the plan documents and ask your HR team whether after-tax contributions and those in-service conversions are permitted. If you're a small business owner with a solo 401k, see if you can design that plan so it allows for these kinds of contributions if you have the cash flow to make them. A little bit complicated, yes. Is it worth it? Often, very much so, by a wide margin. And that fifth checkpoint, the taxable brokerage account. If you work through all four of the previous items and still have money left from that raise or from a bonus, a taxable brokerage account is usually your next move. I like to tell my clients it's a great catch-all for the extra money we don't just have a specific bucket for. Brokerage accounts have no contribution limits, no restrictions on when you can access the money, total flexibility. The trade-off is that you'll pay capital gains taxes when you sell stock, and you'll pay tax annually on dividend and interest income. But these accounts are a lot more tax efficient than they get credit for. Long-term capital gains rates are generally more favorable than ordinary income rates. Qualified dividends get that favorable tax treatment. You can harvest tax losses if they occur, and you can use tax-efficient investments like municipal bonds and things like that to reduce the income tax bite. Smart things to think about with your taxable brokerage: index ETFs and other tax-efficient investment funds. Remember that tax loss harvesting when market dip, and think carefully about asset location. Tax inefficient holdings like bonds or real estate trusts generally belong inside those tax-advantaged IRAs that'll shelter the income from annual taxation as opposed to the brokerage account. A brokerage account also bridges a gap that a lot of high earners don't think about. If you want to retire before 59 and a half and you can't touch your retirement accounts penalty-free, your taxable account can fund those early retirement years. Now, sometimes things get complicated. Here's the thing you probably already noticed. The further you go down this list, the more the details matter. The mega backdoor Roth has moving parts. The backdoor Roth has the pro rata rule in tax filing. Asset location across multiple account types is generally nuanced. And if you throw equity compensation into the mix, vesting schedules, alternative minimum tax, concentrated stock, it gets very layered very quickly. That doesn't mean you avoid these great strategies. It's just reason to work with someone who does this stuff every day, because the difference between going through these checkpoints correctly and missing some of the nuance can be a meaningful amount of money over time and can be unexpected headaches. So if this gave you a more clear picture of where the next raise or next dollar of bonus should actually go, share it with someone in your circle who's navigating the same questions. There's a lot of high earners out there who are doing well, but maybe not doing it optimally. If you'd like to map out a personalized plan around your specific income, accounts, and goals, I'd love to help. Head on over to createwealthfp.com and book a free intro call. No pressure, just a chance to talk about where you stand today and where you want to go tomorrow.